Welcome back. This session we will see the second dynamic routing algorithm, that is link state routing. As you remember, in ARPANET and Internet, it was using this distance vector routing earlier, right? And later it was completely replaced by this link state routing. And the reason behind this complete replacement is because of two different issues in this distance vector routing. First issue is bandwidth not considered in computing distance. So bandwidth was not considered as the distance metric in case of distance vector routing. Instead, some queue length or some hop count etc. was used there. Initially, all the lines in the network were just 56 kilobit per second. In that case, ignoring this bandwidth in finding out the distance was not an issue. But later, different lines were upgraded to different bandwidth, like one may be to the 230 kilobit per second, while the some other may be 1.544 megabit per second, etc. So in that case, not considering the bandwidth was definitely a problem. And secondly, we have already seen the count to infinity problem, right? Too slow convergence in case of bad news. Because of these two reasons, distance vector routing was completely replaced by an entirely new algorithm, that is link state routing. So in case of link state routing, the complete topology and all the delays to every other router was experimentally measured and distributed to every router. So after this procedure, every router knows the complete topology of the subnet and the delays to every other router. And after that, some algorithms like Dijkstra's algorithm can be used to find the shortest path to every router. So these are the 5 steps in link state routing. First one is discover its neighbors, learn their network addresses, then measure the delay or cost to each of its neighbors, construct a packet telling all it has just learned, sending this packet to all other routers, compute the shortest path to every other router. So these are the 5 steps. Now let us see these steps one by one. First one is learning about the neighbors. So when a router is booted, its first task is to learn about who and all are its neighbors. And this is done by using a packet called hello packet. Suppose R1 is to find its neighbors. R1 will send a hello packet to every point-to-point line. So here 3 different neighbors are there, which are connected using point-to-point line to this R1. Upon receiving this hello packet, these routers on the other end of this wire will reply back revealing its ID. So address of this router will be replied as a reply for this hello packet. So all these neighbors will reveal its ID. Of course, this ID should be globally unique, right? Then only the sender can differentiate its neighbors. And the situation is a bit complicated if some routers are connected by a LAN. In this figure, you can see that there is a LAN with 3 routers, right? A, C and F, which are directly connected using this LAN. And each of this router having some other network also, right? So in that case, how to model this as a subnet? And one way to model this is to consider the LAN itself as a node, separate node. So here an extra node, new artificial node N is introduced, to which A, C and F are connected. Okay. And next step is measuring the line cost. So once neighbors are identified, next task is to know or at least have some estimate of the delay to each of its neighbors. So we have 3 different neighbors here. How much delay will be there? How much cost will be there to use this link? Okay. So most direct way is to use the special echo packet. We have already seen this echo packet, right? So this router will send an echo packet to every other point-to-point line. Upon receiving this echo packet, this router at the other end is expected to reply immediately. So measuring the round trip time and then taking the half will give the actual delay over this link, right? And to get better results, the test can be conducted several times and the average can be used. Here it assumes that the delays are symmetric, that is delay from R1 to R2 and from R2 to R1 are the same, but that may not be the case always. Now the question is whether the load along a line is to be considered while measuring the delay. Of course, this load also having some impact, right? Suppose there is a heavy load from R1 to R2, a lot of packets are queued here. So this echo packet also will be queued for a long time, then only it can be transmitted. So definitely that much delay will be there from the R2 to R1, the reply also, right? So if the load is to be considered, then the timer for the echo packet should be started when the echo packet is queued into that line. Otherwise, to ignore the load, timer can be started when the echo packet reaches the front of the queue, right? That queuing time can be ignored. Considering the load has an advantage that if there are two different lines of same bandwidth, then the unloaded line or the lightly loaded line can be chosen. But there are some arguments against this consideration of load also. Let us see an example for that. We have a subnet which is divided into two different parts, one belonging to the eastern part and the second belonging to the western part. And these two subparts of the subnet is connected using two different point-to-point links. One is CF and the other one is EI. Suppose that most of the traffics between these two parts are using the line CF. So this line will be definitely heavily loaded and there will be long delays using this line. And if the queue delay is used in the shortest path calculation, the load also is considered in finding the shortest path, then EI will be more attractive, right? So routing table will be updated based on this. Every router will update its table to reflect that EI is the new route, that's the better choice. Now using this new routing table information, most of the traffic will follow this route now. What happens? This will be heavily loaded and longer delay will happen here. And next time the routing table will be updated to reflect that CF is the good route to follow. The result is an oscillation in the routing table between these two routes. First CF, then EI, again CF, like that. And this will create a lot of problems in routing. Of course, the better choice is to distribute the load over these two different lines, right? And the next step is building link state packets. So two steps are over. Every router is now know who and all are its neighbors and what is the delay to that particular neighbor, right? So using this information, this router will create the link state packet, okay? And these are the different contents of this packet. First, the identity of the sender, then the sequence number, then age. We will see what is the function of this sequence number and age later. And the fourth, the list of neighbors with delays. This much information will be there in every link state packet created by every router. And so creation of these packets is very simple. Now the question is when to build the packets. Two options are there. First option, build them periodically at regular intervals, create a new packet. And the second one is when some significant events occurs, like a line or neighbor going down, or some other lines or router coming back up, or changing its property. When such event occurs, a new link state packet will be created and will be given to all other routers. I will see an example for this link state packet for a subnet. This is the subnet given with 6 different nodes there, and they are interconnected like this. And the numbers given on those links are the cost of this link. From A to reach B, it costs around 4. Okay. Now based on this information, how to create link state packet. So for A, 2 neighbors are there, right? B and E are the neighbors. And it knows the cost is 4 and 5. So this is the information. Source node is A, sequence number will be given here, age will be given. Then the list of neighbors and its cost. To B, the cost is 4, like that. For every other routers, this will be the information or the link state packet contents. For B, it is having 3 different neighbors. A is there, F is there, C is there. So all these 3 will be given here, the corresponding cost also here. So now the link state packets are constructed. Now how to distribute these packets to other routers in a reliable manner. So that is the next step, and that we will see in the next session. Thank you.